Heavy rain and strong winds hit the city, suspending peak tram services. Floods and landslides continue to wreak havoc in Guangdong province. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit China from Wednesday to Friday. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Hong Kong was hounded by heavy rain, strong winds, and even a waterspout today. The observatory issued the amber rainstorm warning signal this morning before canceling the alert at 1:45 p.m. Multiple reports of fallen trees, too, with some having disrupted the city's train and peak tram services. The observatory issued the amber rainstorm warning signal at 10 a.m., but the force of inclement weather was witnessed only around noon. Even with umbrellas, many struggled to stay dry against the howling winds and heavy downpours. But these joggers were not running for cover. This as the observatory warned a trough of low pressure had brought to the region intense thundery showers, which are expected to affect the vicinity of the Pearl River Delta. Multiple districts in Hong Kong logged more than 30 millimeters of rainfall, with over 36 millimeters of precipitation in the North District, Central and Western District, and the outlying islands. Half an hour before the amber alert took effect, the observatory also received reports of a waterspout spotted off Clearwater Bay. The city's forecaster expects that thundery showers are here to stay, and the weather would likely remain unstable between the middle and the latter parts of this week. Apart from heavy downpours, Hong Kong continues to be pounded by strong gusts. Green Island off the coast of Kennedy Town and Tai O recorded gusts reaching 105 and 70 kilometers per hour, respectively. In mid-levels, a tree collapsed onto the track of the peak tram on Barker Road at around midday, forcing the suspension of services for the day. No one was injured. The operator said it was working to clear the debris as fast as possible. It's not known if services can resume tomorrow.
Actually, I just plan to go to Peak Tram, and then right now it's a bad weather, so I can go right there.
We were kind of disappointed, and we're still waiting to see if there's any updates, if we have a chance to go up there to look at the views. Yeah, and it's really sad that it's raining right now.
Maybe we're just going to mall, because it's heavy rain in Hong Kong, so we don't know where to go. Just mall maybe.
Staff members of the Peak Tramways Company also told us there is a refund mechanism for tourists and passengers who purchased their tickets but got affected by the adverse weather conditions and fallen trees. Around 3:30 p.m., part of a canopy on the Shengshui-bound platform at University Station along the East Rail Line was allegedly blown off. Train services were disrupted for around an hour. In Ho Man Tin, a section of Wiley Road was closed off because of a fallen tree which crashed into a car. In Causeway Bay, this canopy dangling precariously on a high-rise building, suspected to be blown off by strong gusts. Firefighters were dispatched to remove the structure. Meanwhile, the torrential rain around Guangdong province has forced delays of multiple high-speed train journeys. Some mainland-bound travelers were worried that more train services might be cancelled and tried to head up north earlier today. Over the past few days, some cities in Guangdong province have been devastated by floods, heavy rainstorms, and landslides, with houses buried and villages submerged. Guangdong authorities also warned that Beijiang, the northern tributary of the Pearl River, is set to experience flooding with a severity unseen in nearly a century. With the onslaught of severe rainstorms, many districts in Guangdong announced that schools will be suspended on Monday. In the city of Shaoguan as of Saturday, the cumulative level of precipitation in April already surpassed 580 millimeters, breaking local records for the month. Mainland media also reported landslides during the rainstorm, burying multiple houses. It's not confirmed if there were people inside. Authorities are working to clear the roads for rescue teams to get into the town, which is now cut off from water and electricity supplies. The Hydrological Bureau at Guangdong province said multiple monitoring stations around Beijiang's river basin recorded water levels that surpassed the alert line. Expecting the flood level to peak on Monday, authorities have opened the sluice gate of a reservoir to release some floodwater. In Qingyuan City, located near Beijiang River, swaths of farmland have been inundated, with water levels having reached as high as 4 meters. Numerous houses submerged. More than 40,000 people have been evacuated. In low-lying areas, 150-meter-long mobile water barriers have been set up to minimize the impact of floodwater. Downpour slightly abated around noon. Guangdong's meteorological department expects the province's rainfall to slightly weaken on Tuesday, but there will be a bout of rainstorms Wednesday night. With high disaster risks to neighborhoods, the department has urged local residents to take precautions and anti-flood measures. The coming week is big for China and U.S. relations, with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken traveling to the mainland from Wednesday to Friday. There are tensions and points of disagreement, but hope that relations can progress. On a weekend where the U.S. has approved aid for Ukraine's war effort, Washington says it is prepared to act against Chinese companies supporting Russia. David Garrett with more.
When meeting with G7 leaders in Italy 2 days ago, the US Secretary of State said any support Russia could be receiving from China demonstrates that security throughout the world is connected. Indivisible, Antony Blinken called it. Beijing has denied supporting Russia's war or assisting their military in Ukraine. Officials in Washington say the US will act against Chinese companies offering services to Moscow.
We have long made clear to the People's Republic of China that we would have concern with any actions that they took to support Russia's war in Ukraine.
It comes after the US House of Representatives passed a bill that should lead to almost $61 billion in aid for Kiev. This could cause tension during Blinken's visit. Relations between China and America have improved over the last year. 12 months ago, they were said to be at a historic low point after the US shot down what they said was a Chinese spy balloon flying over America for a couple of days. President Xi Jinping and Joe Biden spoke on the phone last month in a sign that things continue to get better. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen visited Guangzhou and Beijing at the start of the month. The two countries' defense chiefs have spoken recently. Direct military-to-military contact was a key objective of the face-to-face meeting between Biden and Xi in California last November. Blinken last came to China in June. The top US diplomat met with Xi and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi 10 months ago in a major step forward at the time. Officials on Capitol Hill say there are 3 main objectives for Blinken's trip this time around. First, to continue to make progress. Secondly, directly communicate on global issues, for example, the conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East. Thirdly, in a week when President Biden said he wants heavier tariffs on cheap Chinese steel, Blinken is tasked with helping to manage economic competition. David Garrett, TVB News.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi has arrived in Cambodia after visiting Indonesia and Papua New Guinea on a 3-nation trip. Earlier in the Papua New Guinea capital, Port Moresby, he held meetings with the country's top leaders. Wang also met his counterpart, Justin Kachenko, saying the region should not turn into an arena for power rivalries. Wang Yi arrived in Cambodia after visiting Papua New Guinea. Earlier, he was in Port Moresby. With the United States also courting South Pacific nations, Wang said China's assistance is free of political conditions. He said no nation should treat the South Pacific countries as its own backyard or engage in zero-sum games and exclusionary arrangements. Wang later met Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister James Marape, with the two countries keen to develop cooperation in areas such as disaster prevention and mitigation, information and communications, agricultural products, trade, and energy. The U.S. House of Representatives in a rare Saturday session swiftly approved $95 billion in foreign aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, as well as a measure to clamp down on the popular platform TikTok. The whole package will go to the Senate, which could pass it as early as Tuesday. More details from NBC News.
The time for choosing is here.
The House quickly passed a series of crucial funding bills that could now lead to a high-stakes showdown over Mike Johnson's future as Speaker.
Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no.
No. In a rare Saturday session, representatives voting on several measures, including 4 key bills. One to send $60 billion to war-torn Ukraine in its fight against Russia. $26 billion for Israel in its war against Hamas, with billions more for humanitarian needs in Gaza.
The bill is passed.
And $8 billion to Taiwan.
The bill is passed.
Also a bill that would force the Chinese company that owns TikTok to sell the popular app or face a ban in the U.S. Each vote passing with a strong bipartisan mix of Democrats and Republicans. In an about-face, Johnson supporting aid to Ukraine after he flew to Mar-a-Lago to seek the former president's blessing last week.
The House has worked its will.
We have a responsibility to stand with our Democratic allies throughout the world.
Notably absent from the bills, anything to address the southern border, once a red line for Republicans.
When we had members of Congress in there waving the Ukrainian flag while we're doing nothing to secure our border, I think every American in this country should be furious.
Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson is facing the biggest threat to his job yet, with at least 3 GOP hardliners putting pressure on him to resign. Pressure that is only growing after Democrats carried Johnson's agenda over the finish line. Will you commit to bringing a motion to vacate on the floor if Speaker Johnson doesn't resign?
I'm pretty sure one will come to the floor if he doesn't resign.
But Johnson says he's not going anywhere.
I don't walk around this building being worried about a motion to vacate. I have to do my job.
Well, the Senate will take up all the bills in one package as early as Tuesday. It'll likely pass, and President Biden said he'll sign it.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has hailed the U.S. House of Representatives for passing a package that provides more than $60 billion in military funding for Kyiv. This as Ukraine struggles against Russian forces on the front lines. Pro-Palestinian supporters, though, are unhappy the U.S. is providing more weapons to Israel amid death and destruction in the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, Taiwan is looking forward to more military aid, while Elon Musk has voiced opposition to any moves aimed at trying to curtail Chinese video app TikTok in the U.S. Nasvi Karim has more.
A fire rages in the Smolensk region of Russia after a Ukrainian drone attack on Saturday, one of dozens across the country. In Ukraine's second biggest city, Kharkiv, a Russian attack on a key energy facility. And in Kyiv, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky suggests to Brazilian journalists that Ukraine should have an Iron Dome air defense system similar to that of Israel. Zelensky can now talk confidently about his country's offensive and defensive options, thanks to a U.S. military aid package worth more than $60 billion. The president praised America's global leadership and said the decision will help save lives on the front lines and bring a just end to the war, a war that Vladimir Putin must lose. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the U.S. move will only lead to more damage, deaths, and further ruin in Ukraine. The $26 billion approved for Israel was met with anger by pro-Palestinian groups. More than 30,000 people in Gaza have been killed since October 7th, much of it from U.S. weaponry. Activist Mu'attaz Salim has been protesting in Washington daily for the past 3 months.
I'm Palestinian American. My family's from Gaza. I've lost many of my cousins, aunts, and uncles in Gaza, so I'm here to fight however I can as a Palestinian American.
Taiwan's top body handling defense said it would discuss with the U.S. as to how to use its share of the $8.12 billion allocated to the Indo-Pacific. Taiwanese officials say more than a dozen mainland military aircraft had crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait over the previous 24 hours. Even before the House approval of the aid package, Beijing had criticized the U.S., saying it amounts to interfering in China's internal affairs and goes against the One China principle. A provision of the package also allows for the potential U.S. ban of video app TikTok over national security concerns unless its Chinese owner, ByteDance, sells its stake within 1 year. China has hit out at the U.S. stance, and joining the chorus of protests is Elon Musk, billionaire owner of social media platform X. Musk wrote in a post that the ban goes against freedom of speech and expression. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
And still ahead, a Chinese tourist dies after slipping into a crater of a volcano in Indonesia. Cinema Day in Hong Kong. And classic martial arts TV series props go on public display. Welcome back. A tourist from China died after slipping into a crater at Mount Ijen in Indonesia's East Java. The 31-year-old woman fell in by accident when posing for a picture on or near a tree branch that hangs over the famous Blue Crater Lake. It is thought she tripped on her long dress. She fell 75 meters to her death. Rescuers found her after 2 hours. The deceased suffered a broken leg and died of other impact injuries. She was part of a tour group with her husband. They had already made the popular night climb but stayed near the cliff edge to watch the sunrise on Saturday morning and decided to capture the moment on camera. The Ijen volcano complex is one of Java's most popular tourist destinations. Travelers experience stunning sulfur lakes and spectacular views. 2 Japanese Navy helicopters carrying 8 crew members crashed in the Pacific Ocean south of Tokyo during a nighttime training flight on Saturday. Japan's defense minister says the 2 aircraft may have collided. 1 crew member has been confirmed dead as rescuers search for 7 others still missing. The 2 SH-60K choppers from the Maritime Self-Defense Force were carrying 4 crew members each. They lost contact late Saturday near Torishima Island, about 600 kilometers south of Tokyo. The cause of the crash was not immediately known, but Defense Minister Minoru Kihara said there was a high likelihood the aircraft collided with each other. Rescuers have recovered a flight data recorder and fragments from both choppers in the same area, signs that the 2 SH-60Ks were flying close to each other. Today is Cinema Day. Members of the public can enjoy films at a cost of $30 per ticket across 63 participating cinemas. Wang Yi reports.
Despite the gloomy weather today, the cinema in Sampogong was busy. People came to the cinema for 2 reasons: to enjoy a film at a $30 discounted price and to say farewell to the venue. GH Kai-Tak has been in operation for 6 years, but it will be closed down permanently after Cinema Day. This mother and son, who live in the neighborhood, said they will miss the cinema because the tickets there are often cheaper than elsewhere. She added she found the closure of the cinema unexpected and abrupt. In Mongkok, this theater was also full of moviegoers. Some people lined up to buy tickets, while others get them from self-service machines.
Yeah, with my friends. Hopefully, every month they have this trip.
I think this policy is good, actually. But for normal guys, love to watch films. I think not quite attractive. But I think for normal people, for example, go out to watch film once or twice per year, I think it will have some attractive point.
Cinema Day is one of the highlights of the Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival. Each person can get a maximum of 4 tickets if they get them from the ticketing counters at the theatre.
Tin
Kai-man, spokesman for the Federation of Hong Kong Filmmakers, said the film industry could launch a few more cinema days off-season. However, he said he's not surprised to see the closure of a movie theatre, especially amidst the city's current market situation. News 9, TVB News.
The boat that the young hero Guo Jing drew to shoot eagles in Legend of the Condor Heroes. The dragon-slaying saber with which one can command the world. The flying dagger thrown by Li Shunhuan, who never missed his target. A Chinese fan used by the romantic Cholo Hong, China's version of Robin Hood. Does this warrior suit remind you of the story of a step into the past, in which the modern-day hero time-traveled back to the Qin dynasty? The classic martial arts drama costumes and props exhibition showcases a collection of some 30 exhibits, from headpieces to costumes and props used in martial arts television dramas from the 1970s to the 2000s.
Some of the costumes where they have the very large sleeves, they're more unique to this part of the world. I think it's good to have it in an arena like this where you've got lots of people passing so they can have a look and either take a view or not.
As part of the second Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival, the exhibition allows the public to revisit and appreciate the world of martial arts from the golden age of Hong Kong pop culture.
Since Hong Kong had produced quite many famous martial arts artists and also talent martial arts novelists. We like to feature their works in the different kinds of activities to showcase the essence of the pop culture of Hong Kong.
The exhibition will run here at the Cultural Centre until the 5th of May. Later, it will move to the Hong Kong Heritage Museum until the 7th of October. Sakari, TVB News. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.